Good afternoon, and we'd love to give you an update on ASA. A year ago, we stood here. I stood not here, but in Zagreb. We had an idea. We had a ETSI norm, very technical, but true. We had a chipset coming, and I told you a big story about manufacturers being able to produce hardware that will, in some future, be even able to receive emergency messages, thus complementing the DAB system with IP. ASA, the Automatic Safety Alert. In this world where everybody talks about IP, AI, and all that, we heard today that about 2/3 of all the listening is still linear with a radio. And this is important to know. So we believe with that system, we complement the emergency systems that are already available, for example, with warning apps, with cell broadcast and such, giving DAB Plus with that system additional plus, which is important for politicians and strategy advisors, because the DAB system has been around for quite a while, since 2011 in Europe. But now with the new system, with ASA, we have another future, additional time spent in the future, because it's important to have that warning system complementing the other systems that are already available. And to give you a small update of what we're doing in Germany, this is the people who are actually working together in our association, making ASA happen. I'm not reading all these names, but you've seen the logos before. This is an industry alliance. This is our association, which is obviously here, Fraunhofer, the technical people, manufacturers of radios, radio station bosses, and even more. This is where it all began. And you've seen this picture today before. This is the big flood in Ahrtal on the 15th of July 2021. There was no mobile network, and the big wave came in the middle of night at, I think, 12:30 or so. So we as broadcasters asked us, what could we have done if we only had been able to wake up these people in the middle of the night? And this was the ingenious idea of ASA. We need a radio next to your bed, like a regular alarm clock, and it should go off in the middle of the night, being activated by some mysterious system, which is today called DAB+. So just as a primer, what does ASA do? Really quickly, of course, it's a spoken alert. That's what you do in radio. It's number one. But the new two things, 2 and 3, are very important. One is geofencing, which means, as with the mobile apps you have on a mobile phone, you can have a location code. For example, here in Belgium, Antwerp, and you can make a triangle or a square around this DTG location or somewhere else and say, this is where the warning happens. And only radios wake up from sleep, which is number 3, that are in this affected area. So for the first time, broadcast, which is one-to-many, is able to address people, radios, regions in a very small area. And this is the additional warning safety function that really makes the difference in comparison to regular FM broadcasts. What we need is, in terms of energy, number 4, synchronization, because if you have the radio on all the time, of course, batteries deplete and all that. So it's a technical thing. And we have switching functions. Not every radio station is broadcasting ASA. So the one radio that has to know where to switch to. And once, number 6, you have listened to some alert, you can dismiss it. A year ago, I told you about many interested companies being interested in putting in the new chip. And we talked very closely, and a big thank you to Lindsay Cornell of the technical committee and everyone at WorldDAB to being that close to the subject. Now we have these first ASA certified radios on the market. You can buy them today, only 1 year after the ETSI norm was being published, thanks to the big help of the whole industry. Kenwood, for example, and there are more than that. Technisat, for example, and there are more than that. Another 2 pieces of Technisat. Albrecht. And there's a website by DTG Testing in London that lists all the new devices and systems. And there are, 35 entries already. But it's not only radios like these, but also systems like the chipsets that come from Asia. This is a detail around regarding the location code. Look at this beautiful domain, www.asa.radio. thanks to the EBU that gave us this domain. We have it now. And you can enter your location code. This is my employer, where my radio station sits in the middle of Berlin. But you can do it right now on your mobile phone. You can do it even for Antwerp, even though they don't have it yet. And it'll work. The languages that are there are currently German, English, and French, and Spanish. And if anyone is interested, we can add additional languages, no problem. Also for the African continent, no problem at all. It works, and it's wonderful. So far the theory, we have the hardware, but now it's about services. And I find it most interesting that in Bavaria, and we hear a lot about things today in Bavaria, they had been testing alerts before ASA actually for quite a while, I think in 2022, and we have two parts now. Alex is explaining us about his testing systems because he is from the network provider, and Harald will tell us about the radio station, how to do it, because it's all automated in the weekends, at nights, obviously, commercial radio. And the biggest news is that I'm from public radio, and we push it really heavily, and there's more to say in the end, but it's the commercial radio stations that went ahead and have the perfect solution. So congratulations on commercial stations. And Alex, this is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Carsten. Hello, everybody. Thanks for telling us a little bit about ASA in general. I want to go into detail on the specifics, especially on the test cases we are now doing in Bavaria. I work for a company called BDR, which stands for Bayern Digitalradio, and we are a region. We have been a regional DAB network operator for 27 years now. So we know all the hardships about marketing DAB. We've seen data services come and go. But ASA is one of these systems because it's a huge upgrade to the system that we believe in. And we tried to test it and to try to talk about it and to make it more public and trying to help Carsten to get the word out. So what we did is the following. We are in the fortunate position of having a test network, which is generously funded by the BLM, by our regular operator. And we use this network, which has quite a good coverage, to test ASA, we call it ASA sometimes, as a recurring test every 15 minutes. The map you see looks a little bit like Germany, but it's not. It's just Bavaria. And in the south, you see one transmitter covering the parts of Bavaria, which is close to the Alps, but also reaching the metropolitan area of Munich. And we have another transmitter in Western Franconia. These two transmitters make up our network, and the coverage is quite good for a test network. We have 3 services, and one of these services is an audio service for the ASA messages. The other 2 services are there to switch from, in the case of an ASA alert. Every 15 minutes, there is an ASA alert on the 10D test network of BDR. On the hour, at 1:15, at 1/2, and at 1:45. We have defined 2 different regions. Carsten talked about it just a few minutes ago. There is geolocalization, so we defined 2 regions that are not in Bavaria. We deliberately took 2 regions on the other side of the world, in Australia, from our point of view, the other side of the world, quite at home from some of you, basically. But we took 2 regions that could not be mistaken for being in Bavaria. So when you want to take, or when a listener wants to participate in the test, he can or she can use these region codes, and put them into their ASA device, and if they have reception for the 10D network, they can use this test environment to test if their devices are working properly. Every 15 minutes, the receiver wakes up. One time, both regions are targeted. At 1:15, only one region. At 1/2, the other region. And we have another test targeting both regions, but not waking the receiver up, just switching over if the receiver is already in operation. this is our recurring ASA test. It's running right now, and we will keep it running. But we also did something else to get closer to an operational service of ASA. We worked closely together with Harald, who will pick over the speech from me right now. But just as an introduction, we have another operational network in Ingolstadt, which is in the center of Bavaria. And we use this network on Nationwide Alert Day 2025 to test ASA under operational conditions. Harald, if you will.
Yes, for sure.
So what you're doing currently, you're still testing ASA every 15 minutes in Bavaria?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And what do people tell you? Do they realize that this is going on? Because you can listen to it on the radio. What is the feedback you get?
Yes, we get quite a lot of feedback. We are surprised, but the public is interested in these tests. And when a message reaches us, we try to tell them about it by telling them about our website, where you can read about the test, where you can read how you can participate in the test. And we see that quite a lot of people have already bought an ASA certified receiver.
Oh, that's good.
So it's very important for us that they get an operational service.
Yeah. So thank you. And Harald, you tell us now that even though we had the wonderful idea of ASA, you were ahead of time, and 2 years earlier you started already thinking about emergency warnings.
Yes.
And what was the reason? Is it because automation and, of course, private radio, commercial radio doesn't have people in the weekends? And what was your general idea before ASA came into place?
All what you mentioned, we are not staffed all at weekend, not at night, and so we're searching for a solution to get our listeners informed.
So I'm keen
at any time. Yeah.
I'm keen to find out now how you did it.
So, hello, my name is Harald Hoffend. I'm CTO from Funkhaus Regensburg, and we are a small commercial radio station in the south of Germany. We run 5 local programs from 2 locations in Regensburg and Ingolstadt. As a commercial radio station, as you mentioned, our studios are not staffed at weekend and not at night. But our claim is we are local and we are here for our listeners. So we needed a way to get our listeners informed at any time. So we solved this problem as we developed the emergency warning system, which creates audio from any text and puts it on air directly, with no one in the studio and no one get hands on it. So we have used this system for more than 5 years now. We started with traffic messages in night and wrong-way driver warnings in night and at weekend. And the last 3 years, we have also used it for public alerts in Regensburg. So I can show you a very brief overview how the system works. We get the software checks an SFTP server. It's very technical. I should keep it short. It looks every 15 seconds for a new alert file. When we arrive a file, we get it analyzed. For example, we're searching for the field severity, and only alerts which are marked as extreme get the highest priority. So from this data, we generate a short, clear text with all needed informations. Next, we send this text to a text-to-speech service, actual from Google. When we get the audio back, we add an intro and an outro to this audio. And from receiving the CAP file to playing it to get the final audio on air, it takes 10 to 15 seconds. The last 3 years, we used it for public alerts. We have about 3 more learnings. I mentioned 3 now. We broadcast around about 10 warnings a year. Not so much, but it's we send warnings with the high and the mid priority, and it's quite enough to keep the people informed. But I think it's not too much to be too overwhelming thing. The problem is we can only warn our listeners who are tuned our program. So we would like to wake them up if it's possible. And we mentioned many alerts are so hyper-local that most of our listeners in our area even don't know the small locations. So we have to find any solution to be really hyper-local and don't bother other people.
And this is where ASA comes into place, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, it's there.
That was our wish list. ASA says, okay, we have it. Yes, we can now, with ASA, we can switch on radios from standby. We can switch programs when they tune to other programs, to the warning program. And we can limit the warning-specific location with the geolocation codes. So it's really exactly the same, up to mixing the intro and the audio. And then we have to start to communicate with the content server, with the multiplexer software, sorry. In our case, it's content server from Fraunhofer IAS. And the content server gives us back the next possible time to start the alert. It's the next full minute, so the receiver can wake up. Then we send the geolocation code. And after the alert is played, we send an end of alert signal so the receiver can switch to the former program or can go back in standby. And this is exactly what happens this is, September as a nationwide warning day. And we brought the first fully automated ASA warning message on air with no hands-on, really no host in the studio, and no pre-produced audio. Everything was fully automatic, and it worked fine.
I'm so excited, I really have to jump out of my seat, because now this is a blueprint. This is a blueprint for the whole world, how we can use it within a minute, having alarms on air, regional specific. And now we shall see a video in a few seconds. And please, Harald, explain us what we will see before we see it, so we understand what's happening.
Yeah.
You see two radios, and yeah, just before you start, explain what we will see.
We will see two radios. On the left side, we see a receiver. It has a location code outside of the area we are warning. And on the right side, you see a receiver inside the alert area. So one should play, the other should be not play, and I hope the Swede does so.
Yeah. So let's run the video.
Can I start it?
Yeah, you can.
Amtliche Gefahrendurchsage für Deutschland. In Deutschland findet heute der Warntag 2025 mit einer bundesweiten Probewarnung statt. Es besteht keine Gefahr für die Bevölkerung. Es besteht kein Handlungsbedarf. Berichten Sie über Ihre Erfahrungen gerne unter warntag-umfrage.de. Sie hörten eine amtliche Gefahrendurchsage von Bundesamt für Bevölkerungsschutz und Katastrophenhilfe.
You've heard all of this, what I said, I think. We had an intro, outro. We had a little snippet of a song. That was our learning. We have to do more intro in front of it to avoid this snippet. But this was really fully automatic. Nobody was in touch with it and has to do something. Yeah.
And now we are able, thank you very much, Harald. We have 1 minute and 4 seconds left, so really quick. This is like a blueprint, and my employer, Deutschland, is looking into that. They have been participating at the Warntag themselves. We had announcers in the studio and everything, but the automatic message, as you have seen it, is the ideal way to go because, you know, there's no nervousness of a speaker when something is happening and such like that. And it's really such a good example, and thank you very much for Commercial Radio to bring us to our attention today. And now, 3 years after we started ASA with the technical committee, we basically are able to do the final step, to go on air. Do you have any plans on well, you are basically on air already, more or less, and National Radio are thinking of it. I know ARD are thinking of it as well. So 26 will be a good year for ASA, but you're already on air, right?
We're on air without the ASA specification, but we will go with first half of the year, we will have it included completely. And I hope the next warning day will run as regular. Yeah.
Well, it's like a football match, commercial radio 220, because they are faster than the public radio. Congratulations on that, and thank you for your great help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.